Hello, welcome to GPH 140, Introduction to Maps and Geographic Information Systems. I'm Professor Luna. I'll be your instructor for this course. I want to talk first about what the course covers and then get into how the course is organized. So until about a few years ago, understanding how to read maps, how to make maps, how to navigate with maps was sort of a specialized knowledge. It was pretty much only important to professional geographers, to cartographers, to the military, pilots or captains. But in the last few years, there's been an explosion in the technology around mapping and navigation. This technological revolution has completely changed not only the way that we interact with maps, but also who interacts with this technology. Just about anybody now can access maps or aerial or satellite images freely on our computers, on our cars, on our phones. Practically anybody can make maps now with Google Maps and hundreds of other online applications. We can always know where we are on Earth and how to get to other places. Getting directions is easy. We hardly have to talk to a living person, even when traveling someplace new. It almost seems like mapping and navigation are no longer expert-based systems. Like there's little to learn. Just use the technology, right? But actually the opposite is true. Because this technology is so accessible, so ubiquitous, and we're increasingly so dependent on it, means that there's even greater need for us to understand more about the technology, how it works, and how it can be used. No doubt there are a lot of obvious conveniences that we get from these new technologies. Always knowing where we are, not getting lost, being able to see the whole world, it seems, from our computer screens. But there's a lot of questions too. If you've been following the news lately, you may have heard about recurring controversies around locational information and privacy. Questions about how appropriate it is for the government or law enforcement or private businesses to know our locations or track our movements. For a few years now, some law enforcement agencies have been using small GPS units attached to suspects' cars to secretly track their movements and whereabouts. Recently, the department store Nordstrom's revealed that they were tracking the physical movement of their customers through their stores by following the Wi-Fi signals from their smartphones. Both government and private industry know that a lot can be learned from knowing where people and things are and how they move through space. These geospatial technologies, these technologies that work with locational information, are evolving rapidly and changing our world and changing the way that we look at the world. And so the question is, how are we to understand these technologies? This course, Introduction to Maps and GIS, is about geospatial technology, what forms this technology takes, how these technologies work, and more interestingly, how we can use these technologies to accomplish a variety of tasks. In fact, the bulk of this course is going to be spent on hands-on activities using a variety of different software and different technologies. So let's talk a little bit about what this class will entail. Okay, first of all, this is an online course, which means that just about all the activity that we do in this course will take place through Canvas, which is our learning management system for this course. So right now we're looking at that first page that you encounter when you log into Canvas. So all the quizzes and assignments are going to be accessed and submitted through Canvas. All the course information that you need to know, including the syllabus, the deadlines, and announcements, will also take place in Canvas. So right off the bat, I want to point out the obvious. The syllabus is accessible right here on the front page, and that's a PDF document. So when you call that up, you'll immediately see a traditional syllabus, which includes basic information about the course, description, goals, objectives, and the required materials. It also incorporates the policies about the course in terms of assignment due dates, deadlines, expectations about honesty and integrity in this course, the grading policies in terms of how much each component of the course will count towards your final grade, and also an explanation of those assignments, and finally a schedule that goes weekly in terms of telling you what's due when. And this is essentially a replication of what's available to you within Canvas itself. So I've organized it so that you can get the same kind of information either by looking at the syllabus or by looking directly in Canvas. So within Canvas, the course, if you go to the modules link, you'll see how the course is laid out. And it's organized in a series of modules or themes, if you like, but actually it's going to work on a weekly rhythm, and I'll explain a little bit about how that works in a second. So in addition to all of the information being for this course being in Canvas, Canvas is also going to be our primary mode of communication and collaboration amongst your classmates, but also with me. So the discussions section of Canvas is going to provide us with a space where we can communicate with one another. And the first thing you're going to do shortly after watching this video is you're going to go to the virtual Geo Lounge to introduce yourself in that discussion area, and you're going to be putting in a posting here where it says reply, and I'm asking you to answer these few questions to give everybody a sense of who you are and give us an opportunity to see that you can interact with the software successfully. In general, there are going to be several discussion domains, and you can see these here listed under discussions, and they're going to all serve different purposes. The labs, quizzes, questions and clarifications, and the reading and lectures section discussions are going to be probably where a lot of the activity takes place. This is where you're going to post questions and interact with one another over the work that you do in this class. In fact, I want to emphasize a couple points to you right off the bat. One is that I would like these discussion forums to be places where you start when you have a question, meaning that you look here first to see if somebody else has asked the question that you have, because if they have, then the answer that you have that you're looking for might already be there. But if it's not, then I want you to post that question. So if you have an issue or a question about any of the assignments or work as you're going through it, or about the lectures, or about something that I've said, I'd like you to post it here first, because chances are if you have a question, somebody else has the same question, and it saves us all a lot of time if you do us the favor of asking that, and then somebody else might know the answer, but if nobody does, then I'll jump in and I'll offer the answer too. But I want that to be a place that we kind of all contribute to, so that so we can help each other out, which is my second point. I encourage you to work with your classmates on everything that we do in this course, all of the assignments, the homework, and the quizzes too. I want you to actually collaborate, but I don't want you to give the answers away to the homework or to the quizzes. I want you to help each other out where you can, but I would like everybody to, in the end of the day, arrive at the answers on their own. So I'm asking for you to be helpful, but not deny someone the opportunity to arrive at a solution on their own. So it's kind of a fine line, and I'm trusting that people can understand that. And I'll look through and I'll tell people when they're leaning a little too much into the answering part. But in general, I'd like you to work together and help each other out. And you can do that in discussion forums, and you can also do that live too. There will be opportunities for you to physically meet other people, which I'll talk about in a second. So again, discussion forums really important in terms of communication within the class and collaboration. Because all of the information for this course is going to be taking place through Canvas, it's important that you be aware of things that are going on in Canvas. And so I want to point out how you can control the notifications that come to you from Canvas. And Canvas it turns out pretty flexible in how that works. So if you'll give me a second, I'm going to switch modes here so I can show you what that looks like. Alright, so if we go into the settings up here in the upper right, the first window that we'll come to will be the settings that you have for your course notification. And so the first thing you'll notice in the upper right is where you can actually add other email addresses. So by default, mine is using the Salem State email, but if I wanted to, I could add another email address that I wanted the notifications from Canvas to go to, maybe a personal email address I use more often. You'll notice also that if I wanted to, I could also choose to have it texted to me on my cell phone. In that case, you're going to supply the phone number and then indicate the carrier, the company that you have your contract with for your phone, and that way I can get messages that way. Alternatively, if you look further down, you'll see that you also have the ability to use other applications that might be familiar to you, like Facebook or Twitter, and you can actually have those applications installed just by clicking on them, and it'll ask you a few questions, and you can have notifications come to you that way if you find that more convenient. So from here, from the settings page, again from the upper right settings, not the one that comes up on the left, you have the ability to say what kinds of, or where the notifications would go to. So on the menu on the left hand side where it says notifications, that's where you would control what you get notified about and how often you get notified about that. So what you see here on the notification preferences are the types of things that you could be notified about, and on the right hand side what you'll see is how often you want to be notified about those items, about changes to those things. And so if you scroll down, there's quite a few different kinds of things that you can be notified about. I won't tell you right now what you should be notified about. To tell you the truth, I'm still kind of learning about that. So I would stick with the default for the moment. And if you're being annoyed by certain notifications, you know, obviously you can come in here and change that. But alternatively, I would say that you should at least be aware when if any due dates change, or when grades are updated, or definitely when announcements are occurring. So I would leave that on for sure, because if something comes up, that's the primary way that I'm going to send that information out. I do have the ability to email people directly, but I may not be able to do that as quickly as sending an announcement out. So here you have the potential then again to control what you get notified about, how often you get notified about it, and how or to what device you want that notification to come to. So again, a lot of flexibility. Definitely take a look at that and figure out what's most convenient for you, what will work for you. Okay? All right, so let's go back to looking at how we're going to work within Canvas. So more about the course. Oops, slipped out of the course I wanted to go into. All right, and I'm going to switch back to what you see. All right, so I'm going to refer to the syllabus here. So you'll see right off the bat that there's there's only a couple things you really need for this course, but one of them is the textbook. And the textbook's really important because most of the assignments that we do for this course are going to come straight out of that textbook. So you really need to have it, and you need to have it right away. And it doesn't matter whether you buy the physical hard copy version or if you buy the digital version where you read it essentially online. If you buy the digital version, which is a real bargain, it's a lot cheaper than buying the hard copy, do know that there's limitations on how many pages you can print out. So it's not like you can buy it and then just print it all out. They don't let you do that. And the other thing too is that usually when you purchase it online, or the digital version rather, there's a limited period of time when you have access to it, which actually isn't too bad of a thing, because to tell you the truth, the technology is changing so rapidly that in a year this book will be probably out of date in a lot of ways. In fact, some of the stuff we'll be working on has to be updated. It's a little out of date of the book, and I'll give you that information as we go along. So anyway, so make sure you have the book. It's crucial for us to work through this class. Throughout the class, we'll also be working with a variety of software. Most of it will be downloaded from the internet, and it's free. and it can be installed on your own computer, and I encourage you to do that if you're comfortable doing that. It does assume, at least the instructions that are given through the book and quite a number of the software that we use, assume that you're working with a Microsoft operating system. So if you are working on an Apple, you need to take that into consideration. So either you have to have the Microsoft operating system working on your Apple, or you will need to find another computer that has the Microsoft operating system, like a PC. Fortunately, this isn't a really big deal. So if you don't have your own computer that you want to use, or if you have a Mac, or an Apple rather, and you aren't able to do this, we do have a resource for you, and that's the Digital Geography Laboratory, or the DGL. The DGL is a dedicated computer lab on campus. It's open to students who are enrolled in geography courses. And the computers in there's 37 computers in this lab. It's in Meyer Hall 325, and all the computers in there are preloaded with all the software that you'll need for this course, including all the data that you'll need to do the exercises. So it's very convenient. So that, again, if you have an issue with installing any of the software that we need for the class on your own computer, then just go ahead and plan on going to the lab. And I'll be distributing the login and password information so you can work on these computers shortly, as soon as I get that. And it's actually a very nice place to work in. It's clean, it's quiet, there's air conditioning. The only strict rule is there's no food or drink while you're working on the machines. We've had a lab for the last 20 years, and we've learned the hard way that there's just no way that food and drink and computers can coexist peacefully. So in any case, be aware of that. I'll put the link to the website for the DGL is on the front page of Canvas, and the DGL has its hours always listed online too, so you can always check to see when it's open. And it's open pretty frequently. The weekends are kind of tricky because it depends on who's available to work. But in general, we can accommodate different schedules. So this means too that the availability of the DGL, because it's always there, it's always available, it's always a resource to you, means that you should not have an excuse if you have technology problems. If you encounter a problem, a technical issue with your own computer or your internet connection, then you need to plan to go straight to the DGL to get your homework done. So I'm assuming, and I'm operating on the principle, or the idea rather, that you always have access to this resource, and it's that there is no reason why you should have problems with accessing computers. So you need to think about that carefully. If you have any questions about the computer that you're using or its ability to handle what we're going to be doing in this course, then you need to plan on spending time in the DGL, which is not a bad thing. It's a good place to be, and especially if you might be there at the same time with other classmates, that you can actually work together in there. I mean, you can talk in there. It's not like a library. So anyways, plan on that. Think through that very carefully. Okay, so back to the class and its organization. So as I said before, the class is organized into these modular themes, but works on a weekly basis. So what's going to happen is that you're going to be working through the material in this course in a linear fashion. You're going to basically walking through each of these items and each of these modules, and when you're done with them at the end of a given week, you can move on to the next module. And you'll see that the weeks are labeled here within the modules, so that means that you can tell where you should be at any given moment in time. So in general, what's going to happen is every week, beginning on the Sunday of that week, so for example, this coming Sunday on the 8th, let's assume that I would release all of the information for the coming week, and the homework that's due for that particular week will be due on the following Sunday before midnight, say on the 15th. So everything that comes available to you for that given week, again, you have a full week to work on, and it will be due on the 5th, on that following Sunday. So generally what's going to happen is that every week you'll need to be reading a chapter from the textbook, and that's indicated in each of these modules, and it's also indicated in the syllabus. You'll read the textbook. There'll be possibly a video lecture, not necessarily every week, but most weeks there'll be a video lecture that kind of fills in some of the gaps and augments what you've read. And then there'll be a practice quiz, and the practice quiz you can take as many times as you like. It tests kind of your understanding of the reading and the material covered in the lecture. You're not going to be scored ultimately in how many you get right or wrong, but more on the fact that you just took the quiz. So it's in your interest to take the practice quizzes for the points that you get just for doing it, plus the practice, knowing what you're going to be expected to know later on. Every week there will also be a lab application or assignment, and that works off of the lab applications that are in the textbook, which again means that you need the textbook. And after that there will be a graded quiz at the end of that concludes the work for the week. And the graded quiz will ask you questions about comprehension of the reading, the lecture, and it will also ask you to do things with the software that you did in lab application. So it's going to kind of assess your understanding of what you read, but also the skills that you acquired in working through with the software. So the graded quizzes might take a little time to work through because you'll be called on to use all the skills that you picked up during that week. So this means, and it's not a horror. It may sound like a lot of material at this moment in time, but it's actually not. But in any case, it's not a good idea to leave this material till the end of the week, the Friday or Saturday of the end of the week before you get to it, because it might take quite a bit longer than you anticipate, and that could be a problem. So you need to plan to work on this throughout the week. I say that I would guess that you need to schedule around 6 hours a week to work on this course, on all the material for this course. So however that plans out, you should plan accordingly to get that work done within that time period. Okay, I said that most of the material in here will be working in Canvas, the activities, the quizzes, but there will be some on-campus activities, times where you're going to actually need to physically come to campus, regardless of whether or not you're using your own equipment on your own machine to do the exercises. So in week 5, which puts us right at the beginning of October, and I'm going to scroll here down to the schedule and the syllabus, you're going to be working on a GPS exercise, and it's going to be kind of a geocaching or a scavenger hunt kind of thing, which means that you'll need to kind of wander around campus in order to accomplish it. You'll need to visit the DGL to pick up materials you'll need, which may or may not include GPS units, and be on campus. And I'm going to guess that will take anywhere from an hour to 2 hours on campus to accomplish this exercise, and that's again in week 5. And so you'll need to plan ahead to think about when you'll be able to do that. This is also going to be an opportunity to work with your classmates, because this is a collaborative exercise, so you can go out as a group to do this, which could be a lot more fun, but you don't need to in any case. But you will need to be on campus, so plan for that. Also, later on in weeks 6 through 9, when we're working with the GIS software, so we're talking pretty much for all of October, the exercises have you using a software package called ArcGIS, and unfortunately this is the only software package that we'll be working with that's not free. So you'll need to go to the digital geography lab to use the software in the lab in order to do the exercises. So that's going to take more coordination on your part. So you need to think about that, how you're going to make the time to be at the lab to do the homework. So again, week 5 for the GPS, and then week 6 through 8. So pretty much the month of October, there'll be a reason for you to be on campus and in the DGL lab for some amount of time to get the homework done. Okay, so again, most of the information about the class, how it's organized, the policies around grading are available to read in the syllabus, and again, we'll be working through these modules in Canvas, and so it should be fairly straightforward. Again, the modules are organized in a linear fashion, so that if you just work your way straight down through them one at a time, you'll be fine. That's all you need to do, and each one will tell you what to do next. In addition, each week there will be a task list for each module, and that task list will indicate point by point what you should do for that given week in order to finish off the material there and stay on target and move to the next module or to the next assignment. If you have questions, again, please use the discussion forums to ask them, so that you and your colleagues can all benefit from the questions being asked, and give me an opportunity also to interact with you and everybody else. If you would like to talk to me directly, please feel free to. I don't want to push you away here. If you want to talk about personal issues you're having with the class, or just to talk or to get extra help, you can call me, email me, or visit me during my office hours, Monday through Wednesday, 11 to 3 p.m. I'm in Meyer Hall 326F, so I'm just a few steps from the DGL lab, so it's real convenient if you want to do work in there and then pop on by to see me and talk, or if you want me to come visit you while you're in there, I'll be happy to do that too. My contact information is also in the syllabus. And again, I just want to welcome you to Maps and GIS, and I hope that you find this course teaches you new things and that you find the whole experience worthwhile. So now that you watched this introductory lecture video, you've survived the first lecture. I'd like you to please move on to the next item in this course orientation module and just follow the directions. And again, if you have any questions, please post them in the forums. Okay, talk to you soon. Bye.